see how we're doing here.
There you go.
And then, all right, let's test the mics too. We'll test the mics.
Hello.
What we moved them all around, huh? He's coming up later in the hour. You know Tim's coming too.
I'm gonna stay for the whole game, just in case you need me.
All right, we're good. Ray's on, Steve's on. Steve, how we sounding? We sound okay? The microphones sound clear to you guys? We have 1 minute before we start the radio show. Want to make sure the audio sounds good. Hello, Cheryl. Sound is very good. All right. Did you guys already check?
I told my mother
Hello?
that you'd say hello if she popped up there.
All right. Ray is on.
How do you see who's popping up?
It's
Facebook.
hard
yeah.
to see.
Okay. Yeah. How do you see that?
All right. We got less than a minute. We'll start the radio feed. Then I'm going to read the. All right.
John's giving you a thumbs up for something.
Oh, he says the sound is good.
The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio. My name is Ed Ryan. The lovely wife is here as well. And we have an outstanding show for you today. Today is Saturday, September 14th, 2019. And we are broadcasting live from Peach Time Out on Fort Myers Beach, right in the heart of Times Square. Peach Time Out, of course, has the best breakfast on the beach. We want to make sure we give a shout out to everybody listening on the Florida Podcast Network. We appreciate every single listener across the great state of Florida. And of course, you can watch us on Facebook. You can watch us on YouTube. On the audio side, you can listen on our app, which is on the App Store for free, down on the Apple App Store right now. We are also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, and our very own website, beachtalkradio.com. We try to make it as easy as possible for everybody to listen. You can even listen on Alexa by saying, Alexa, listen to Beach Talk Radio on iHeartRadio. Anyone watching live on Facebook, please let us know where you're watching from or listening from in the chat box. And if you have questions for our guests today, we'll be happy to pass them along to our guests. Our first topic of the show is Judge Laboda's ruling in favor of the town of Fort Myers Beach, which, barring any appeal of that ruling, Margaritaville will be built, and if all goes according to plan, open in January of 2022. First, some background for our new viewers and listeners. On May 21st, 2018, after years of working together with the developer, the Fort Myers Town Council unanimously approved an ordinance giving TPI approval it needed to move forward with what shortly would be called Margaritaville Resort. On July 9th, 7 weeks later, then Mayor Tracy Gore signed the ordinance. Once that ordinance is signed, anyone can file an objection within 30 days. Just under the deadline on August the 8th, with financial backing from the Lonnie Kai, Chris Patton, close friend of Tracy Gore, files 2 lawsuits objecting to the project. Those 2 lawsuits cost the developer, who's bent over backwards to work with the town council and the local residents to make the project work for as many people as possible, about 18 months of delays. June 29th, 2019, Chris Patton, seemingly out of the blue, and just days after Tom Torgerson appears on this show, drops one of the lawsuits. That it was a waiting game. In fact, I don't think I'm speaking out of school when I say that this mayor sitting right next to us now is getting a little impatient. Mayor Anita Cereceda was ready to fire off a letter to Judge Laboda just last week, days before that ruling came in. That gets us, well, yes, a nice letter. That gets us. Let me finish here. Let me finish for all the new people. I know you can't hear them, folks. That gets us to this week when the community found out that both lawsuits were history. And again, barring an appeal of the ruling, the project will get rolling. And there is a 30-day window, a few days less than that now, from the judge's ruling for an appeal. Mayor Cereceda, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome, Ed. And let me just correct something there. barring any ruling or not, the resort's going to be built. So, appeal or not, I think TPI recently had something posted that said they're moving forward, period. So that's good.
Okay. So, and I know your main to look to the future, forget about the past. So before I ask my questions, anything you want to say, go right ahead.
Wisconsin, and I'm talking like him. I know. Okay, so, in Wisconsin, and I'm talking like him.
I know. I was like, where did that come from?
So the judge's ruling came out. Everyone reacted joyfully, and then the joy kind of turned sour with all this speculation of nefarious plots and why this person didn't do this and why that person didn't do that. I can tell you which certainty is I have in me that though evil plots are enticing, and certainly it'd be a lot better of a show for you today if it was true. It's not. I understand how people could have looked at the note by the judge of the timeline, but the judge never said, "Oh, this is really weird." She simply was noting the dates that things happened and transpired in the approval ultimately of the TPI case. I think the most important thing for people to recognize is the town of Fort Myers Beach in its 22-year history never, ever had a case as complicated as TPI. It involved vacations of right-of-way. It involves a pedestrian crossover over Estero Boulevard, which is county and town. It was vacation of land. It was increase in density. I mean, all of the regular elements of a complicated commercial plan development, and just kind of jack that up 10 times was the TPI case. There is no doubt in my mind that all 5 council members, myself included, the former mayor included, did our due diligence in studying that case in order to be able to get where we got, which was a unanimous approval. The issue of what happened after that unanimous approval until a signature was placed on the ordinance was a process that quite honestly protected the town, the neighborhoods, the project, and ultimately led us, I believe, to have a positive ruling by Judge Laboda. There was every effort made by staff, our consultants, our attorneys, our community development staff, our town manager, to make sure that every I was dotted, every T was crossed. And if that took time, well, it took time. If I had a rather heated argument with a very good friend of mine this morning. Stella's going to see these little dogs. All bets are off.
Okay, hang on tight, folks. Hang on.
And about this issue.
About this issue, yes. And this person believes that there's some hidden secret, and I have to let that just go because people are going to choose to believe what they're going to believe. But if you want to lay blame someplace, you have to lay it on all of us. You can't pick
because you were all there.
Because we're all there. And in the mayor's capacity to sign a document, it's a matter of record. But it's not the mayor's job to make it happen faster or make it happen shorter. It's a process. And so if it had been me, if it had been me in that chair at the time, the process would have taken just as long. I just want people to rest assured that the town in its capacity as the stewards of the neighborhoods, the environment, the project, all of the elements, did everything we needed to do to make sure that we had an airtight ordinance when it was finally signed.
Wasn't the ordinance airtight before it got approved by the council? And I don't think the council would have approved that ordinance if you hadn't got to the point where, okay, let me just sign it and let's move on with it.
So in the course of the hearings, if you remember, it was 2 days worth of that last hearing.
Right.
There were a lot of changes being made on the fly, most notably the Ocean Jewels parcel. Mm-hmm. That was a big deal. That was it was really a turning point in the whole case. So by the time I remember that Joanne made the motion. By the time that everything is enumerated and then double checked and everything else, I'm sorry. We can all speculate whatever we want to speculate, but I truly believe that what we did was what was best to assure this ultimate outcome.
Do you think that, however it happened, those 7 weeks allowed Chris Patton and her financial backers to prepare for the lawsuit, whether it was intentional or not, or they were ready to fire it off anyway?
Ed, you know what? I know there are a lot of people that like that storyline, and I'm not going to say that I didn't look at the dates and go, However, no, I don't think that that's the case. I think that we did what we had to do to get it done as accurately and impeccably as we possibly could. And whatever was going to happen over here on the side was going to happen regardless of what we did. Mm-hmm. We were just ensuring ourselves a good ultimate outcome. Now, I wasn't even one who picked up on that. Why are so many people seem like they want to believe a conspiracy is going on? Well, if you can answer that question, I'm all ears, because I literally was up in Tampa or Bradenton at a trade show when I got this news. And in very short order, the news went from, this is incredible, this is fantastic, to, oh my God, did you see this? And I was talking to my friend Marge Zuba on the phone, and I said, what is it about us as people?
That good news cannot just sit as good news.
No, we've got to have an enemy.
Well, I don't know.
There's got to be somebody who did something wrong. And
I think the people on the beach are upset that they had to wait 18 additional months. And so there's something to that somebody made them wait 18 months, and maybe they saw that it took 7 weeks and they said, okay, well, we have 30 days. Let's make it 29 days just to see if we can stretch it out even further. So
those 7 weeks could have saved us another 18 months. You can look at it that way too. But Ed, look, at this point in time, people have a choice. They can continue to stir this pot and see if anything spins out other than some hatefulness, or they can choose to move on.
Well, I'm with you on that. My only question is, and you seem like you're answering it, is that the people on the beach or that are voters have a right to know if their elected officials are deceiving them. And you're saying they're not. That was my only question. They want to make sure. And because you have the whole Whale-gate thing and you have that on tape and you have a group of people that seem like they're in cahoots with your government to delay things. So they have a right to hear it from you that you say it didn't happen that way.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. If anyone is to blame, we are all to blame. Because in that 7 week period, I certainly could have said, hey, what the heck? Why isn't this signed?
Right.
So I, as I was talking to this friend of mine who's not happy with me about all of this, I understand that people are angry. And I get that there's a whole lot of anger, hatred, hurt, disappointment on all sides of this issue. But I truly believe we have to make a conscious effort here to say, okay, you know what? New page of the book, and let's go.
Okay.
Let's roll.
Do you have any questions?
No, I think she answered all the questions, which it seems that it is just a coincidence that you can have two things that look like they're connected, but they're not.
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what do you know in terms of the timetable of how this thing will roll out?
So what I believe will happen from this point out is that I believe TPI has already made their decision. I think they had to weigh the risk of moving forward without waiting to see whether or not there would be an appeal. And I believe they have decided to do that. And I think that everything now lies in our building department, community development, and TPI's hands to move forward with that project. And, I just want to tell people to take a breath, because that's going to be a very difficult construction project right here at the entrance of the island. So if you think tempers are flaring over this, I'm sure it's going to flare again. And it just, look, I, like many people, I have been here a long time. If I had a penny for every time I have walked across this square, I wouldn't be sitting here. But this time of our town is difficult for those of us who have been here for a long time. People are anxious about it I've got some friends who moved here who just think this is the best thing, and what the heck are we delaying?
Right.
And let's go. But those of us who have been here, this was difficult. These are growing pains, and especially if you take into consideration the people who live in this direct area. I mean, it's going to be impactful. You just can't escape that.
Right.
But I really believe that the town and that council did everything that we could to protect the neighborhood, protect the project, and protect the integrity of our decision.
So one last question about that, and then I have two other topics I want to roll by you real quick.
Oh,
Well,
good
Whoa.
Lord.
You're
I got you here.
She's going to
That's all
need
right.
some more
That's okay.
coffee.
That's
Right?
okay. Go.
So the biggest question we get on the Facebook is about the parking.
The Facebook. I know.
Are we going to have
You mean
enough parking?
TPI's parking?
Yes.
That was scrutinized beyond scrutiny. As a matter of fact, one of the conditions that our town manager, Roger Hernstad, actually put into place on that project was it required off-site additional, I think it's 75, 79 parking spaces. We never asked anybody else to do that. The parking requirements for Times Square are lower than any place else, but I believe that the parking will be adequate for the resort, adequate for the beach club, and I don't think it's going to be an issue. But let me just tell you this. When McDonald's was approved to come on the island, you would have thought that the end of the world was near, because the drive-through, of course,
Right.
was going to create more traffic. There wasn't going to be enough parking. Ultimately, McDonald's left because there just wasn't enough business for them to
right.
sustain themselves. So I look, from what I know about the TPI organization, this is going to be a top-notch project. It's going to be managed here locally. The contractor that they've got is also top-notch. You can see some of their projects throughout the county, and I think that we're in the best hands we could possibly be in.
Awesome. So two other topics real quick before we let you get back to your breakfast. You are in favor of a tax increase.
I voted in favor of a tax increase. I did.
Why does the beach need a tax increase?
Okay, this is a fight with another friend of mine.
You're going to end up with no friends here pretty soon.
I don't think so. I
She
think
can't run
ultimately,
again, so
I think ultimately it doesn't matter. If I could run again, I still would have done it. I've been talking about this since I came back on council in 2014. Fort Myers Beach has been operating in kind of this pay-as-you-go sort of mode. Now, you don't operate your household that way. I understand
try
as a
not
bit of
to.
a spendthrift.
He
but
is. I have to put the reins on it.
You look forward to what your big plans are and what your goals are. And Fort Myers Beach right now is in a period of talking about big plans. So in March, there will be 3 new people elected to the council. It's going to be an exciting time for them, but they need to be left in a position to be able to make decisions based on all these plans we're making now,
Right.
as opposed to saying, hey, we're passing the baton to you, but sorry, you don't have any money. One of the biggest issues is Bay Oaks. And Bay Oaks, we had a joint meeting with the Bay Oaks board, and basically the community is saying that facility is obsolete for us. We need something different. Maybe we need a big amphitheater there. Maybe we need an entirely new facility there. But without capital funding, we can't make those decisions. All we can do is talk about it. And so I believe that this is a good decision. If you think about 22 years ago, our millage rate was 1.0604. Even raising our millage today, our millage is still lower than it was when we incorporated.
It doesn't seem like Joanne is in favor of a tax increase. It's hard to read. I couldn't read the other folks on the council. Do you think they'll vote for an increase? Do you think they'll get it?
Well, I think Rexanne and Ray made it very clear that they support it. And I understand Joanne's point of view. It's a point of view shared by many people, including my other friend that's mad at me. I get it. I understand where she's coming from. And it's important that voice is heard because it belongs to a lot of people. I just have a different point of view that I hope we'll move forward with, but we'll see on the 23rd when we actually finally adopt the budget.
There's one more budget hearing for people
23rd?
to know. You only had one person show up to the last one, so I'm guessing they're not too concerned about it.
In the 22-year history of this town, the budget is not something people show up for.
Right.
They show up for short-term rentals.
Yes.
They show up for zoning cases, but they don't show up for budget hearings. And historically, at least in the last 6 years, we've had people show up and ask us to increase the rate.
Wow.
So think about this. My tax bill this year will be about $4,000. Of that $4,000, $222 goes to the town of Fort Myers Beach. $222.
And the rest goes to the county.
The rest goes to the county, to the fire
library.
district, to the library, to all the other things that you see on the list. I think the town is prudent in making this decision, and ultimately for this next chapter of our story, it's the right thing to do.
Last topic, a big event coming up in less than 30 days. And earlier in the week, you were not too happy.
I was hot about it.
You were, yes, to put it mildly, you were a little upset. Are you feeling any better with how things are going? And do we have a permit yet?
I believe that we are as close as we can possibly be to having our permit. I don't have any question whatsoever that it's going to be a great event, that it's going to go off. I think that the organizers maybe had to do a little bit of a regroup. Something people who don't live here don't get about Fort Myers Beach is that, we can be really scrappy with one another, but when push comes to shove, you don't have anybody better on your team than, one of your neighbors. And the other day, Tommy Kohler from the Lighthouse in Yucatan calls me up and he's, a little excited about why am I trying to undo the boat races? And I said, I'm not. And he said, I need you to help me. And I said, okay, what can I do? And just in the course of a few days, his work, Jackie Leasack, of course, everybody who's been kind of pulling forward for this have really helped. The fire district, the sheriff. I spoke with Tim and Cindy the other day at length, and I told them, look, don't misread anything. Our job is public safety. Trash. People need a place to use the restroom and throw their stuff away. And until we have that, we're a little anxious about it because you're telling us 70,000 people are going to be here. So I think it has come together, and I sometimes, I'm a passionate person. Sometimes that kind of gets a little, it reels out a little too fast. Like, when you're fishing and all of a sudden you hear,
or
like that.
When the dogs see somebody they want to see.
Somebody they want to see. Exactly. And I said to him, I apologized if I made him a little nervous, but the fact of the matter is anything I would have said wouldn't have stopped that event. It's going to be a great day and a great weekend, and I'm looking forward to it.
So we're turning the page in that one, and we're moving forward.
Boat races are going to happen,
and we can roar off the shore.
Roar offshore,
please.
Kim.
Okay, before you go,
good Lord,
we got enough candidates going to run for office. We're going to have a little.
Oh, there's so many great people in this town. And I thought of somebody last night that lives on the north end of the island. I'm going to call him up because he would make a great council member.
What's his name?
Nope, not telling you. I wouldn't do that to him.
Good try.
I will tell you this: his folks were very good friends with my parents, and maybe he'll hear me say that and give me a call this morning. But there's some, we have some excellent people on the LPA,
yes.
Megan, Jim Adderholt. I mean, we have wonderful people who are already kind of engaged and could probably pretty much hit the floor running. So what is important to me most of all right now is that anybody thinking about running starts to really pay attention to everything we're doing relative to branding and all of these other big picture things we're talking about so that they're right there with the flow.
Are you going to miss being on the council?
Yes, I am.
Are you going to run when you're time elapse again, maybe?
You know what? I always say you're running until you're not.
Okay. I don't know what that means. Is that a yes or a no?
Look, my heart and soul is in this town.
Yes.
And I would never discount a call to service ever.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for straightening things out. You answered all the questions.
Thanks for letting me come on, Ed. I know.
Oh, it's perfect.
I know how much hurt there is out there. I just want everybody to know I think we can move on this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mayor Anita Cereceda.
See you later,
Thank you so much.
All
and
right.
Stella, we don't
All
want
right.
to discount Stella.